What's going on, Dolphins fans? It is your boy Dillon, and I'm here with you today to do my post-game analysis for the Dolphins' first preseason game against the Chicago Bears. And so let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So obviously, unfortunately, the Dolphins lost the game 20-13. Obviously, it's the preseason, so, winning and losing the game doesn't really mean anything. And obviously, also, the starters only played for a few series, and then you start filtering in your backups. So, this is, I never root for my team to lose, and I obviously always want the Dolphins to win. But this is obviously the situation where it doesn't really matter, right? So that doesn't really make a difference. And honestly, when you look at the stats and the tape and, you go back and review it, obviously that was Justin Fields and the backups playing against backups when they scored 20 unanswered points. Now, that does actually make me a little bit concerned about some of our depth in the on the defense. And frankly, this game, if I'm being honest, this game increased my concern for depth on this team just in general. Across the secondary or across the defense and, the offensive line in particular. But yeah, so let's get into this a little bit more. So obviously, like I said, unfortunately, the Dolphins lost their first preseason game 20-13. Let's read through these stats really fast. So Tua was 8 for 11, 99 yards with no touchdowns and 1 interception. Jacoby Brissett was 6 of 10 for 67 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. And Reed Sinnett was 6 of 10 for 51 yards. So let's just say this. The starting units for the Dolphins definitely won, right? That's really just how to, that's the easiest way to summarize it. The starting units beat the starting units for the Dolphins beat the starting units for the Bears on both sides of the ball, on offense and defense. Overall, we're going to get into some of the negatives and the downs, right, the bad stuff too, but overall, our starting units definitely did the job, right? So, the starting units moved the ball well. Overall on offense, the run game definitely left a lot to be desired. I mean, honestly, and look, that's the thing look, okay, so I'll put it like this. Tua actually looked really good, right? So, or, not that that's surprising. Tua looked really good. He's healthy. He showed some of that elusiveness. He looked comfortable. He was doing well with his throws. His accuracy was good. He made some really good throws, right? So Tua was doing great. Unfortunately, though, that offensive line was not particularly great. Austin Jackson really struggled. Kinley, had some all right moments, but he struggled. Dieter actually surprised me overall playing at center. But I still definitely need to see a lot more from him before I can say confidently that I trust him there. Robert Hunt was solid, and Jesse Davis was kind of up and down. So, and like I said, the run game was basically non-existent. I mean, at least when, for sure when the first teamers were in. I mean, that first team run blocking was pretty bad. And then they had some missteps and some issues in their pass blocking too. But that certainly was a lot better than their run blocking. They did fail to convert when they were down in the end zone and, at goal line, which was concerning. The O-line couldn't get any push. They were on the 1 yard line and we were running with Malcolm Brown and they couldn't get a push and get it into the end zone. So that was concerning. The first team defense, but to be fair, also, Will Fuller didn't play, Devontae Parker didn't play, Albert Wilson didn't play, right? So a lot of those starting wide receivers didn't play. So there is that, and that is definitely added context. And the Dolphins starting defense without, like Xavier Howard and Byron Jones. I don't think McKinney played or not for very long. So they, some of their top guys on defense were not in this game as well. And the starting team defense did solid, right? So it wasn't until second and third team that it really just kind of fell apart. And they started really letting up some big plays. They let up some big plays in the run game and the pass game on defense in the second half with the backups. And then the offense couldn't do anything. Or at least not very much. To be fair, because Jacoby Brissett, when he was in, he did have one drive where he capped it off with the touchdown, right, to get us 7 points. And to be fair though, and for complete context, that the starting unit was only able to, right, and they couldn't capitalize and get it into the end zone. They were only able to get a couple field goals. And real quick, talking about Tua's interception. Look, at the end of the day, it is on him. Overall, it is absolutely true, and it is totally fair to say that Adam Shaheen could have made a better play on the ball. He could have been more aggressive, and at least potentially made it so that way it was incompletion as opposed to an interception. So that is true. Adam Shaheen does definitely get part of the responsibility here on this particular play, right? The play with the interception. However, it is mostly on Tua, because the thing is he went through his reads. First of all, Adam Shaheen was open earlier in his route, and what he was supposed to do if he was going to throw it to Shaheen is as Shaheen is coming out of his break, right, the little hook in his route, as he's making that move, that's when he should have threw the ball. He waited a little too long. He actually went through his reads from left to right and then came back to Shaheen, and that's why he was late, which ended up in the interception. So either he should have done one or two things. He should have either thrown the ball sooner, probably when he was initially going to that read, because that probably would have timed up right about when he was making the break, coming out of his break. Or if that didn't happen and he did get all the way back to the right, instead of coming back to the left to try and make that throw, he should have known that it was going to probably be late. And especially considering the fact that there actually was a good amount of space, open grass to his right, he could have just tucked it down and ran for it. So that play is definitely on him, mostly, not entirely. Shaheen has a part to play in that as well. But it is mostly on him. But the thing is, though, is it's a learning experience, and you obviously definitely want it to happen in the preseason as opposed to the regular season. And that's one of those things that he'll be able to take and go back and look at the tape and say exactly what I said. Okay, I should have either hit him initially when I got to that read the first time, or if I didn't feel comfortable with that and then got through my progression and didn't feel comfortable about any of the throws along the way, then I should have, recognized this open field in front of me, all of this green grass, and ran for it. Because he even maybe could have gotten the touchdown himself. Frankly. So, ironically enough, Justin Fields actually does a very similar thing later on in the game. And that's how he got one of his 2 touchdowns, one of which was a rushing touchdown. So, real quick, let's... I'm not going to do like a full stat breakdown. Once I get to the regular season and I'm actually doing like in-depth analysis of these games, I'm going to do the usual thing that I do. I know it makes my videos a little bit long, but I like to give you that full context and that detail. I'll give you the full stat breakdown like I normally do. I'll tell you the stats from the quarterback and the leading rushers and stuff like that, right? And give you the defensive statistics and so on and so forth. I will give you some of the, actually, as I go through though, I will give you some of the team stats, right? So like, maybe if my app works here. So, team stats, Miami had 326 total yards to the 339 yards total from the Bears. The Bears only had 168 rushing yards, though. We had passing yards. We had 208, so we beat them in that category. But they beat us in rushing. We had 118. They had 171. Like I said, though, obviously a good portion of this came in the second half. And, that second and third team, the backups, man, on defense let up some big chunk plays. And there were like 2 or 3 runs where there was like 4 defenders basically smothering the guy, and somehow they just let him squeeze through and rip off a big gain. So, like I said, overall, I definitely, my concern for the depth on this team definitely increased after this first preseason game. And, especially when you couple that with my concern early on for the amount of injuries. By the way, let's note and let's knock on wood that we actually didn't sustain any injuries really in this game. There was one, Sathan Carter, but I don't think it was serious. I think he's probably going to be all right. It seemed to be something minor, so there's that. But when you couple, with the injuries or whatever that we've already had, I am a little bit worried about the depth, particularly on the offensive line and, in that or on that defense, man. So, we'll see, man. We'll see. But yeah. So let's see. Yards per play, they were 6.6. We were 5.2. We lost one fumble. They didn't have a fumble at all. We lost, Tua threw the interception, and they didn't throw any. So, they had 2 turnovers. They obviously won the turnover battle. Let's see, third down conversions, though. We only let up 25% of their third downs, and conversely, we were 40%. Obviously, now that stretches over, all of the units, first team, second team, third team. So, obviously keep that in mind for context for the, preseason games. But that's good, right? And so that's obviously something you want to see. Time of possession, we had it for 33 minutes, 39 seconds to their 26 minutes, 21 seconds. Obviously, that's good. You want to win the time of possession battle. They had 9 penalties. We had 4. So you do want to, and Austin Jackson was one of those, right? But he also had at least one more holding penalty later on in the game that the refs missed. Added context there, but overall good. Obviously, you want to have less, so we won the penalties, and then when it comes to the number of penalties and the assessed yardage, but obviously you want to be as clean as possible. Look, honestly, there's really not much more to say past that. Again, at the end of the day, I thought Tua actually looked really good. Minus the one mistake, look, and it is if that was a real game, that would be a pretty big mistake, right? You don't want to throw it an interception, especially in the end zone, right? After you drove downfield, you don't want to throw it in the end. Look, I will say this too. I think Brian Flores should have put him in one more series. I know you don't have to, and look, I'm oftentimes one of the guys that's like, don't risk it and don't get him hurt. But I think it would have been perfectly fine to put him in for just one more series and let him show what happens when he gets back in there and see if he can bounce back and so on and so forth, right? Instead of just leaving, the last thing he did on the field being an interception. So I do think that kind of sucked, but I'm not really worried about this interception, right? And because it's not like last year, right? A lot of the interceptions that he did throw, or the would-be interceptions, right? Because I chronicled a ton of plays that were would-be interceptions. A lot of those you can attribute to, well, some of them you can attribute in part to the offensive line, which of course still worries me. But, a lot of those were decisions that he made because of the situation that he was in and the further context, right? He wasn't healthy. We've gone over it. The playbook situation, the behind the scenes stuff with, Gailey and blah, 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 right? So, it's not the same thing, right? And that mistake is easily correctable. That's not something that, is just outright atrocious and should never happen and is completely unacceptable. That is something that he can absolutely clean up. So Tua had a really good day. There were actually some other, like Savon Ahmed had a pretty solid day. Actually, as a matter of fact, surprisingly enough, Noah Igbenogany had a couple nice plays. Nick Needham had a really nice day. Malcolm Brown had a few nice plays. Like I said, for the offensive line, I mean, Robert Hunt played well. Dieter actually surprised me and played better than my expectations. Let's see, what other positives? Defense. Christian Wilkins had a pretty solid day as well, playing with both the first and second team guys. What else? Is there anybody else that had... I mean, I think that's about it. Justin Coleman had a solid day. That's pretty much it. But yeah, so, going just real quick, going back to my concerns overall for this team. I mean, I've been telling you for a while that my top three has been, offensive line, the depth. I've been saying the depth in the secondary on the defense, but really after today, the entire defensive depth from front to back raises some questions and concerns. So the defense and on that offensive line, but so let's just say depth. Let's just say depth in general. I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna change it from secondary depth to just depth in general. So, my biggest concerns are offensive line. That includes the starting offensive line. Depth, which includes the depth on offensive line, but primarily on the defense. And then, injuries and so on and so forth. So, because if we have one injury on the offensive line, if we have some of our wide receivers go down, right? Like, then we could, or, if we were to lose one of our top corners or Benardrick McKinney, well then, things could get a little scary and the season could get a little bit longer. So those concerns are still my top concerns. Nothing has changed there. And yeah, so we just have to wait and see, man. Obviously, we still got a few more weeks to go. We have actually about a month. Roughly a month. I think we play our first preseason, our first regular season game, I want to say, is on September 15th. I'm going to pull that up just really quick while I'm talking here. But so we still have a little while to go before that happens. So we do still have some time to get things figured out. That offensive line really could be an Achilles heel, so they have to get that sorted out for sure. But yeah, and then, so, next week, we go back home, go back to Miami, because it's going to be against the Falcons, and we have joint practices again next week. It looks like they're going to be practicing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I think the game actually, the game is on Saturday again. So it's probably going to be practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I think Friday with a day off. And then Saturday, we will have our game against the Falcons. And again, we have joint practices with them next week. And interestingly enough, as we already know, we also do play them in the regular season week 7 after we come back from our London trip to play the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that's actually an additional thing that I'm going to, look at with this game, right? So this upcoming game against the Falcons, I'm going to be doing some comparisons between this game and the regular season. Obviously, they're not going to be like, strong comparisons, because in the, this upcoming game, we're still going to see a lot of backups and players that likely won't even be on the roster, right? But it will be interesting to see if what adjustments they make and so on and so forth. So, and also I think that likely this will be the, quote unquote dress rehearsal game. Because, you go from 4 preseason games down to 3. But we'll see how that plays out. We'll see how long the starters get this next time around. I would like to see them for sure longer than this time. Like I said, I think I would have liked to have seen Tua in that starting offense out there for one more series today. But yeah, that's really it, man. That's all I got. There's definitely some positives to take away from today, but there are definitely some concerns and some big ones to keep an eye on and see how they play out. But yeah, man, let's keep it going. I'm super pumped that Tua looks really good, and it is definitely good to just have some Dolphins football again. So I'm pumped for that. As you guys know, I was joining in on Reason's live show today. I am going to do, during the regular season, I am going to do my own live show. Even if there's nobody there to watch with me, that's fine. I'm still going to just do my own live show because, look, I do still have aspirations to grow this channel and, to be better, to put out a much better product. But unfortunately for me, with the circumstance that I'm in life, I just don't have a ton of resources and stuff to, get subscriptions to the Miami Herald and Sun Sentinel to have all the, and various other publications to get all the information. And, I'm actually struggling even right now to get the money to pay for Game Pass so I can go back and watch the games. And stuff like that, right? Like I don't have like much of a studio, and it's, equipment, and software and stuff like that. That shit can be expensive. So unfortunately, it's hard to have the resources. And until I get the channel to 1,000+ subscribers and the required watch time to monetize my channel, it's tough financially. So I'm hoping that I can get there this season, at least get to that 1,000 mark, and start getting this channel monetized, so that way maybe I can start bringing in a little something extra, and then that way I can start to do more for you guys. But for the regular season, I am gonna do my own live streams. I'll have his up too, most likely, so I'll probably do my own and then have his up on the side or whatever, and kind of bounce back and forth. But yeah, so either way though, and once we get to the regular season, I'll do my normal preview videos for the games. I'll do my normal post-game evaluations. They normally the preview videos come the day before the game. That's usually how I do it. And then the post-game analysis comes usually the day after the game, because I like to go back and, with the post-analysis, I like to go back and, rewatch the games and check out the footage and stuff like that. So, I got to figure out a way to get my Game Pass before the season starts. But anyway, I'm going to stop droning on, and I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. So with that, I hope you guys appreciate my perspective. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comments section. And of course, as always, follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Phins up.